Hi, I'm Aasia from Bibi's Indian cookery classes, and today we're making a veggie bhuna. So we've got, just so you the ingredients, onions. I've chopped a few already. So there's 3 onions or more. Some pepper, mushrooms, green beans, and we're using kind of chickpeas as well today. So the first step is to chop up the onion and just dice it up. So if you don't have enough onions, your curry won't have much sauce. And then about 4 tablespoons of oil and a good pinch of salt. So that's just the oil, onions and salt. So full heat, and you need to get this going for like 3-4 minutes until it's sweated down a little bit. So you want those onions to cook down to like a mulch, which is then what's going to thicken the sauce. So meanwhile, I'm going to chop up 3 tomatoes. I've only got 2 here because they're really big ones. So what roughly looks like 3 tomatoes. 2. With Indian cooking, the tomato is what adds the tang, and it also helps bulk up the sauce. Okay, so these now sweating down. So now I'm going to put all these in. So heat still on full. And you do need a nice big pan. So now I'm going to add some water so they can sweat down and become a sauce. About a mug in. And then we need to turn this down to a low simmer and put the lid on. Leave it for at least 15 minutes. So that's on a low simmer. It's just cooking away there. Now we leave that alone. So you don't need a huge amount of spices to make a curry. You can even just use black pepper if you want. So we've got turmeric. This is hot chili powder. Again, it's optional. You don't have to put it in if you don't want to, because we have got fresh chilies too. And this is paprika. And then this one, ground coriander, which you can be quite generous with. It's quite, I'd say the 2 must-haves, turmeric and the ground coriander. Right, I'm just going to check this is doing okay. Yes, it's bubbling and nothing's burning. If you did find it was burning, just put a splash of water in. Okay, so while that's simmering, I'm going to chop the green chili. And again, it's optional. You don't have to put green chilies in. And so I'm just going to chop this up roughly. This, by the way, is quite a mild one. You could use the really hot ones. You know, you could even just do finely chopped green pepper. Okay, so I think I'll cut it in rings. Cut it how you wish. A bhuna's quite a rustic curry. So I've got the garlic already here. This is about 8 cloves chopped. Right, let's just have a look now what this is doing. Okay, a little bit longer. I'll give that a little bit longer, then I'm going to take the lid off and evaporate away all that water. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this up to full whack. 7. And start evaporating all this off. When that water's dried off, you need to see a little bit of oil. And if you can't see any, just add a little bit more. You do need a wooden spoon for this, because you really got to scrape at the pan, because it is sticking at the bottom. What people tend to do is keep adding water, but then you'll get back to where you started. So a good wooden spoon means you can really scrape the little darker bits off. If you don't, say you were using this or one of the plastic type, it won't get it all off, and then that burnt bit will attract more burnt bits, then you have burnt bits in your curry. So this is now, if you like, your curry paste before the spices have been added. All the curry paste really is lots of onions cooked down for a long time. So now I'm gonna put the chilies in, and then put the garlic in. Fry that out for a minute or so. No particular order, but turmeric does tend to be that spice which, if you don't cook out properly, it has a really not very nice sandy taste. So in a curry of this size, which serves for 2 level or 1 heaped spoon, does it right. Let's put 1 heaped one in, a bit more then. So when the spice hits the mixture, it wants to stick. So you've got to really stir it. This is what you're basically doing here is frying out the spices. And then the hot chili powder, and I know this one is really hot. Every chili powder is a little bit different, and the one you've got in your kitchen, you'll know sort of how much to add. So I'll just add about half a teaspoon of that. I need to turn it down a little bit now because it is sticking as soon as those spices go in. Really, I can add a tiny dribble of water if they're catching at all, just a little bit like that. So I'm going to add a little chili powder, and this one's a really hot one, so not too much. There you go. So you can be generous with paprika. It's just a nice mellow taste. So it's not hot. I find it gives the dish the effect of having chili powder, but without any heat. So it's ideal if you want to keep it really mild. And I'm going to add, because it's a bhuna, a good 2 to 3, whatever you like. The bhuna is a nice sort of red tomatoey curry, so you can be generous on paprika for that. And then one more, which is ground coriander. It's just nice and lemony and mild. I'm going to add 3 of them. A lot of people just put the spices in willy-nilly at different stages, but then the spices won't cook out. Well, you can taste the spice raw and then taste it cooked. It's very different. So we've been quite generous with the onions here, so we're going to get a decent amount of sauce. So we've got red pepper, we've got the green beans and the mushrooms. And you could do tofu or some other protein in place here. So you have the heat quite high again. Every time you add cold food, have the pan very hot and just throw it all in. Then the idea is to turn the heat up. As soon as the pan goes quiet, it's not good for this stage because everything needs to fry. And now you basically got to stir fry this veg in the masala base, which is the onions and spice mix. And as you can see, it coats the veg and it crisps on the outside a little with the oil there. So this stage, it takes on the spices through it. I'm going to turn it down a little now because it is sticking. So just quick there. So now, same with the chickpeas. These are obviously already cooked, so they won't take too long, but neither will the veg, so it's okay. Put them in. You could use cannellini beans or a can of any beans you like, or just substitute the beans with another veg. And you have to really turn it from the underneath and over. So with water, you just add it gradually until you get a thick sauce. So add a little. I've added a little water, and then when I stir it, it absorbs in. So you've got your dry onions and veg, and then you basically hydrate it up with the hot water until it's a consistency of the sauce you want to achieve. In about 10 minutes, all the veg should be soft, and then we can finish it off. So with coriander, I tend to be quite generous. I use about half a bunch. If you don't like coriander, you could just use chives, chopped up, or spring onions. So, stalks and all, by the way, that's where a lot of the flavour is. I'm going to be adding the coconut cream once it's finished, and then just sort of heat that through. Okay, so after about 10-15 minutes, we'll just check it. If it's still a little liquid, just whack it up for a minute or two. I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of this, and then stir it through. So you could serve this with naan bread or just basmati rice, pilau rice, whatever you like. And I like to turn it off before I add the fresh coriander because to keep the freshness, because the heat will totally sort of kill the freshness of the coriander. So once it's off, all that in, all fresh ingredients. So there we go. So that's my vegetarian vegan Bhuna curry. So you can follow me on Instagram at Bibi's Indian Cookery and on my website bibisindiancookery.co.uk. For more details about the Climate Diet campaign, head to the website.